Hello, dear participants and organizers. Thank you for inviting me to take part in this event. My name is Anna Kurumchina. I'm an associate professor of the Ural Federal University and CEO of the Agency for Cultural and Science Diplomacy. And today we will talk about cultural exchange and how to bridge people and overcome cultural barriers. What are the main peculiarities of humanitarian sciences? First of all, the subject and the object of research coincides. And the second, because the object of research is so difficult, there is no single definition of any notion in humanitarian sphere of knowledge. That is why I will use the definition of culture that is the most common and widespread. The word culture goes from Latin verb colere, that means cultivate, inhabit, cultivation, colony. And culture is always opposite to nature. It is something artificial. The main task of culture is to create an individual, a personality, and the people by using material and spiritual practices and methods. And here you see the scheme and the structure of culture. We divide it into material and spiritual ones. On the scheme you see general components of material and spiritual cultures. And elements of culture are important too. All these elements are different in different cultures. If cultures are close to each other, these elements and senses that they contain are close too. And it gives ground for cultural exchanges. I give you this short piece of theory to demonstrate the complexity of culture as a phenomenon and simultaneously show the opportunities. Using marketing approach with the customer-oriented view and dividing them into target audiences and target groups, you can choose your own focus for your cultural exchange projects and create your own unique selling proposition. I would like to present some typologies of cultural differences to you as well. We, as physical beings, have two definitions, space and time, and the attitude and perception of them are different in different cultures. For instance, Richard Lewis examined cultures according to attitude to time and activities in time, and structured cultures into linear active, multi-active, and reactive. On the slide you see his structure. According to Holland anthropologist Geert Hofstede, social dimensions of our life includes power distance, languages, attitude to gender, etc. That is why he distinguished the following opposition in cultures. The researcher showed highly significant differences in the behavior of people from different countries. He concluded that a greater number of differences in values and relationships depend on one's position in a society, their occupation, age, and gender. Knowledge of a culture type allows assessment of the compatibility of the cultures and making prognosis about development of their interaction as well as regulating disputable issues. And all these differences are reflected in cultural aspects, both spiritual and material. As you noticed, the mentioned theories have their aim to understand cultures, to manage them. For the last several centuries, we lived in the Eurocentric world, where its civilizational values considered universal ones for the whole world. But if we think, we realized that the Western civilization represents only 1 billion people from 8. The fundament for such Western position was the priority of material culture and technological dominance. Why material world and economy has become more important than spirit and soul? I suppose that the West went to this worldview step by step, and the apotheosis was the Nietzsche's sentence. He said that God is dead, and if God is dead, then all that we have is just our body. I recommend you to read some books that explain this Western approach. The first one is written by John Hobson, The Eurocentric Conception of World Politics, Western International Theory. and Edward Said, Orientalism. According to Hobson, in the Western worldview, all cultures were divided into the First World, the West or civilization, the Second World, barbarians, which includes Russians, East Europe, former Soviet republics, who want to keep up the West, and the Third World, or wild men. But as we see, this concept now demonstrates its failure. Much more ancient cultures of Asia, the East, and Africa don't want to put up with it. All differences considered above make it difficult to find something in common, from one hand, and simultaneously it is the very field of cultural exchange. Here you see the scheme of cultural exchange that was developed by Russian theoretical researcher Yuri Lotman. This scheme demonstrates the very process of cultural exchange. When there is something different between cultures, it is the very ground for exchange. Using signs, languages, symbols, codes, and other instruments, we create mutual understanding. That is why we see that countries that don't accept Western approach to this classification unite around the BRICS, which use the principle of equality in international communication. And you know that there are some new candidates to BRICS, and we will see who will be the newcomers. Cultural exchange is a key factor in diplomacy that becomes even more important nowadays. Namely, cultural diplomacy as a part of public diplomacy includes exchanges in the spheres of culture, education, sport, science, and art. What opportunities in culture exchange do we have? First of all, we should use the opportunities that BRICS gives us, because there were signed some documents on cooperation in cultural sphere among BRICS countries. Lots of attention is given to BRICS youth cooperation. For example, my partner, Project Office of International Youth Cooperation on the global network Russia-BRICS, initiates many projects. For instance, the project The BRICS Universe, which is a large photo exhibition consisting in photographs of the BRICS countries and UNESCO creative cities located in the BRICS countries, captured by Russian cosmonauts during their expeditions to the International Space Station, and photographs made by creative people, photographers from UNESCO creative cities of the BRICS countries. Another example is the third BRICS International Youth Camp, is traditionally going to held in the Ulyanovsk region. This year, the goal of camp is to develop new approaches to promote BRICS among young people by attracting young professionals in the field of journalism, information and communication technologies, and graphic design in the Internet information environment from the BRICS countries. The main theme of the camp in 2023 is media. Then, we can use all official government events. For instance, at the end of July, there will be the summit Russia-Africa in St. Petersburg, where they organize cultural program. And special attention will be given to creative business cooperation. You know that creative industries are considered rather perspective now because of profit level that is higher than in heavy industry nowadays. I recommend you to read my article devoted to the perspectives of creative industries development, and here you see the link. There are some associations and youth council that provide support in the sphere of Russia-Africa cooperation. If you need money for your project, pay your attention to Gorchakov Foundation that gives financial support not only to Russian citizens, but foreign people too. This foundation differs from other foundations in that, at the stage of the project development, it provides very significant consulting support. The University of Creative Industries Art Tavrida pays lots of attention to the development and preparation specialists in all spheres of this sector of economy. Here you see the link to the presentation of sinologist Nikolai Vavilov, who addressed the participants of the Art Tavrida University of Creative Industries. There are some scientific events like Congress of Anthropologists and Ethnologists, which happens every 2 years in different cities of Russia. It considers many topics, including economy, industry, politics, etc. The Festival of Anthropological Documentary takes place during the Congress. So, if you have some anthropological research, you can organize your own section, or make a presentation of your research, or present your documentary there. Last year, in the INAPROM, International Industrial Exhibition in Yekaterinburg, many businessmen who was interested to enter the South Africa market had an opportunity to meet Russian sales representatives and got support in their initiatives. Russian universities are opened for international students. The most famous one is People's Friendship University of Russia, RUDN, and of course every our university is opened to enter. Here I give you the link to RUDN and Ural Federal University and the list of Russian and African universities. National Council of Youth and Children's Associations of Russia, in cooperation with Youth Public Forum Russia-Africa, works to actualize the problem of cultural exchanges between Russia and Africa on the governmental level. And of course, your personal initiatives are extremely important too. For example, in August, my Agency for Cultural and Science Diplomacy will open a photo exhibition, African Kaleidoscope, Faces of Africa, at the Sverdlovsk region governor's residence. The pictures are presented by Yekaterinburg traveler, who is a fan of this continent. She doesn't use traditional touristic routes, but explore Africa as it is. Sometimes she visits places where they have never seen white people before. So, as you see, if you are interested in developing cultural exchange, just do it, and you will get support. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions or ideas of project, please contact me. Here you see my business card. And I wish you all the best and to have a nice work during this event. Thank you.